By some estimates, a third of the people in jail and prison suffer from mental illness. And for some, these are very serious, like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. What does incarceration do to these people, and what challenges do they pose for corrections staff and healthcare providers?
We find, like you would in the community, that we struggle to get them their medical care or other things they need. Because remember that people with serious mental illness are among the sickest medically. The Department of Correction also struggles because jails are places where security must come first and prisons are the same. And so there's a lot of rules that must be followed. And for people who started with problems and friction in the community, we've now placed them into a setting where you could almost predict that you're going to create more problems. We believe that we need to assess the health risks that jail confers to our patients, not simply the notion that we have all these very sick patients and any adverse health outcome is a product of their problem. And we certainly are thrilled with Commissioner Ponce's arrival and are really eager and really have great admiration for the work he's already done.
Through your experience, what are these interactions like with the police?
They're coming in assuming the worst, and that they're going to have to control the situation. Lesser quality interactions will result in a much more violent interaction, and those are what you don't read about in the paper. You read about where there's been an actual shooting, and that's the worst possible outcome. Phoenix had a tragic incident in the 90s and came up with a whole different system so that the police come, and instead of taking somebody to a hospital or to a precinct, they actually take them to a crisis center, and the handcuffs come off after 5 minutes. The police leave, and the mental health professionals control the situations. When you talk to officers where this program has been implemented, they're saying it's the greatest thing. And this is, it's improved community relations, it's improved outcomes. So there are communities in New York State right now that are doing this. It's just a matter of kind of getting the right people in the room.
So what happens is, as someone comes into the court system, they're dropped off by the arresting officer, they're taken in by the arresting officer, and then they're seen by these EMTs who work in these pre-arraignment screening units. But the problem is that these units they're cramped, so the physical environment is not conducive to having a conversation about someone's mental health. There's no access to any kind of electronic health information, any of the kind of resources which you could use to determine someone's mental health needs more accurately. So we're planning to put access, firstly, to give people working in this setting access to the electronic health record, which Homer has already mentioned, which is available in the jail, which includes detailed information on people's health needs, including their mental health needs.
Any assistant district attorney, any defense attorney, any judge in Brooklyn can refer a case to the mental health court. We also, when defendants are sent for an evaluation to see whether they're fit to stand trial, rather than those defendants go back to the judge that sent them for the evaluation, they come to the mental health court first. If the person suffers from a serious and persistent mental illness, and there's some connection with the criminal behavior, it doesn't have to be direct, a loose connection, then the person would be deemed eligible for entry into the court, which, as was mentioned, is an alternative to incarceration court. I always kind of look at this as a third way, and thoughtful. I didn't make it up. Thoughtful people in criminal justice made this established mental health courts, and they proliferated throughout the country. And in fact, about 79% of our people who have gone through the court in the last 12 years graduate.
But I think that that this work needs to happen earlier, whether it's crisis intervention teams or whether it's before people come into contact with law enforcement. And I think we need to, for us as researchers and people who are interested in policy and advocates, we need to think about how we start that, or how we push that conversation so that we can identify people earlier and we can provide services so that people can be healthy and avoid contact with the criminal justice system.